This book is an American history book from Nebraska. It's a book about Native American Freemasons, which is a slightly unusual sounding topic, but it began really for me in a Native American's bedroom. He'd been dead 40 years and I was there. His family kindly allowed me to be there, writing his biography. And in his bedroom, I realized there was a lot of Masonic material: aprons, certificates, jewels, the fabric of Freemasonry. And that triggered for me the realization that Freemasonry was very important for a number of Native American figures. Now, arguably, women are more important in community life within Native American the Native American world, but men are the ones who've tended to be recognized by colonial powers. And it's the men that we have most archives and writing about as a result. So this book notices the fact that so many of them were Freemasons. And the book really does three things. The first thing is it retrieves this history of Indians in unexpected places. Indians as part of Protestant, Anglo-Saxon, middle class grouping within society, the Freemasons. So it brings that history up that hadn't really been discussed or known about before. And the Leverhulme Trust and Anglia Ruskin University supported the project, and that allowed me to go to 16 to 18 different archive sites across North America and Europe and bring this history back to the foreground and into debate and discussion. The book overall does three things. That's one of them. Second thing is it looks at performance as an analytical lens within the writing of history. So it evaluates performance because performance is key to what Masons did and do. Ritual is key to Masonic life, and a lot of the purchase that Indians had was, I think, connected to that ritualistic performance that went on within Masonic life. So I look at performance. I really come to the conclusion that performance as an approach to the past is valuable and very generative in many ways, but it has its limitations because it can elude or obscure asymmetries of power that may exist between the colonized and dominant societies. Third thing the book does is make an argument about associationalism. Things like Freemasonry, fraternities, how Americans associate together. You may think associationalism is not a problem anymore. We have the first web president, we use internet, Twitter, Facebook, we're associating as never before. But actually, since the Second World War in particular, since the decline, it may have a renaissance, but since the decline of Freemasonry after the Second World War, we've lost something. The rich now, especially since the 70s, tend to associate primarily with each other, whereas Freemasonry allowed groups that perhaps wouldn't normally associate to be together. And I look at what this might mean. Last thing I wanted to say was that this book does something else. It brings some fascinating characters to the fore. People like Albert Pike, who was the doyen of 19th century, or more 20th century really, Freemasonry, an amazing figure who did a lot for Indians, surprisingly, even though he has been critiqued for being racist and having connections to the Ku Klux Klan. He has a statue to him in Washington, and he was very much loved and is still loved within the Masonic community. But he did a lot for Indian people, particularly during the Civil War, and made a lot of money for himself and for Indian peoples, trying to get or getting redress in the courts for the loss of land. He's a gargantuan figure, gargantuan appetites, a gourmand. He would take wagon loads of prostitutes and good food and good liquor into the forest to celebrate his successes. He's one of those historical figures that is a lot of fun to read and write about. So that's Native American Freemasonry. I think it should be a readable book, but it's also one that tries to make a series of serious points about Freemasonry and what it means today and in the past. Thanks.